Alright, welcome back to the Ramble. Today we have a new contestant in the Ramble arena. His name is Mr. O'Connell. You may know him. He teaches maths here on the bottom of the Newton block. He's very kindly said yes to my offer of interviewing him about why he studies maths and his journey through the field, as well as his university experience. So yeah, thank you for being on.
You're very welcome.
So, I know I said you teach maths, but are there any other subjects that you teach, especially this year?
I primarily teach maths, but I also teach finance and a bit of ICT this year.
And then I've heard you do like Visual Basic.
Yeah, so that's just the current modules we're working on in ICT. That's the first 2 terms worth of work. A bit of Visual Basic 6. Then we'll be moving on to some hardware, software stuff.
Do you program in your spare time or have any other kind of language proficiencies?
Yeah, I'm fairly into Python. Python is my primary language. I learned it at university and a little bit before. I spent one summer after the first year of university when I started learning Python, making... Forgot about this. We'll just leave it. We'll just won't say what we did there. Yeah. But
You've hyped it up so much.
I'll tell you. I made a Python program, to my girlfriend at the time now, Y, played Club Penguin, and I made a Python program to play one of the Mii games in Club Penguin. And got the world record because the Python program was better than anything else. Apparently, any of the kids that play Club Penguin.
Yeah.
I decided I didn't want to throw my wife under the bus, so I thought I would cut that bit out.
That's the main reason why Club Penguin got shut down.
Yeah, precisely.
Was because all the bots that were playing the games and just beating all the kids, and so you just couldn't.
Yeah.
You just couldn't. Yeah, you couldn't have that.
Had to shut it down. But no, I enjoy Python. I've done a couple of different projects in it. Most recently, no, that's another bad example of why.
If you want me to say a bad example of what I can
I just don't know. There's so many examples I could give, but I don't know if they're good. Me and my friend made a little box that we programmed an Arduino for to play random clips of Scatman John. I don't know if you've heard of Scatman John.
It sounds weird.
It's just I'm not going to do an imitation of the song for you, but you can look it up at some time. But we made a little box that at random time intervals starts playing incredibly short 2-second clips of Scatman John, and we're planning on hiding it at my friend's Halloween party.
Oh yeah, well, I'll give one example of one of my projects on Python, which was I didn't mean it to be like a spam bot, but it was, and it was for the toy bank. I was told to send off emails to a bunch of different primary schools advertising the toy bank. So I had it just, open up a website, email, log in, and then just paste messages to a bunch of different things. And I used my school email, which is a bit of a mistake. Because now all my emails go to spam folders.
You made a massive web scraper to send spam, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah. When I could have just put everyone in BCC. But now I've learnt for this year.
Well, I think another example of a Python program I've made actually is I made a 4-way chess clock because of a game some me and my friends play. Some of my friends take far too long on their turns, but obviously a chess clock only works for 2 players. So we've made the code to work for a 4-player chess clock. So you can play 4-player games, but each person has a time limit for their turns. So that was another Python project. I did.
Right. So you have like 4-player chessboard.
Well, we didn't use it for chess. We just used it for any other games where people were taking far too long on their turns.
Okay.
Just to enforce the fact that you can't sit here for 5 minutes thinking about a turn that's taken somebody else 5 seconds.
So you're there playing the game and then like...
Yeah, precisely.
You have 3 minutes.
We're cutting you off.
So you primarily teach maths.
Yep.
Is that something that you wanted to do since you were a child, since A-levels?
I enjoyed the subject at GCSE thoroughly. I chose to study it at A-level. I didn't choose to study further maths because I didn't want to do that many exams, but that's something I've gone back and forth on whether it was a good decision or not, but in the end I think it worked out. And then towards the end of my A-levels, I couldn't really decide what I wanted to do, so I thought I'll go for engineering. I enjoy engineering. Went to all the open days for it. Absolutely hated all the open days for engineering. Found the universities boring. The taster lectures, they weren't engaging. I just didn't really enjoy it overall. So I think as a last-ditch effort, I went to go to visit some maths open days because there was still some available when all the engineering ones had gone, and absolutely loved it. So went for maths after that.
And would you say that's like one of your tips? Saying like you won't go to university just because you like the looks of it. You like the teachers and the course.
Absolutely. I think there's a couple of important factors when looking at universities, one of which is what are your module choices? Can you pick the things you want to do, and do they have the flexibility for that? Some university courses are set in stone. You pick one thing and you have to go through with it if that's your course you've chosen. Other things have more choices about what you can do. For instance, my university in first year, there was no optional modules. In second year, I had a third of my modules be optional, and then in third year, 2/3 of them were optional. So you could kind of diversify or specialise as you went through your degree.
Right. And did you have any like favourite modules or favourite like areas of maths that you studied?
I kind of went for a kind of three-prong approach because all the core modules that I had to take were pure maths, and then for my extra modules I went down the physics route and the finance route. So I took there's 6 modules, so in my second year I took 1 module in physics and 1 module in finance, and then in third year I took 2 in physics, 2 in finance. So I did some stuff on general relativity, stochastic processes with the stock market, which basically just means random processes. Because the stock market is unpredictable, and physics, it was great actually because we got to go to observatories and basically just spend half of our time looking at stars. So,
hell yeah.
Yeah, it was real good.
Nice. And does that reflect in your degree in any way? Showing what like optional modules you did, does that change like the degree you get? Or...
My degree still just says pure mathematics.
Right.
But if you look for a module breakdown, which I don't think very many employers do, but I'm sure some of them do, we'll look at, and if you've got something you specialised in which is relevant to them, it could be a good conversation point.
You got your degree, you came to King's after, did you have like a placement year first where you had to do like some training?
Yes, so I did what they call a PGCE, Postgraduate Certificate in Education. I did mine in maths, obviously. I had 2 placements. They were both very different, and they were both really good experiences.
What plans do you have for the future?
Honestly, a lot of my life, as you may have figured out by me wanting to do engineering and deciding to do maths at the last minute, a lot of it wasn't particularly planned. I finished my degree just before COVID hit, so I had a bit of a year of an accidental gap year, as you might call it. And I think that gave me some time to reflect and decide what I wanted to do. That's when I decided to do the PGCE. I didn't know if it was the right route at the time. I just thought doing something is better than doing nothing. And I think you've got to try something to know if you enjoy it or not. So I'm here, I'm trying maths, and yeah, I am enjoying it.
So do you have any hobbies outside of King's?
Yeah, I'm fairly into climbing, if that's bouldering, if that's indoor rope climbing, if that's outdoor trad or sport climbing. I'm very much into basically any form of climbing that you can throw at me. So that's one of my key hobbies. I like designing stuff and making stuff in my spare time as well, kind of building off the back of wanting to do engineering in my original teenage years. So I like keeping that passion alive.
Do you have any projects for 3D printing?
Well, it depends. I do all sorts of things on 3D printing. It's anything from making miniatures for people, building practical brackets to make shelves or adapters for things. So you can use it all sorts of places a lot of the times for that. You can make extra pieces for board games. Sometimes you can make boxes to mount speakers in to put in friends' houses that play Scatman John at random
Right,
intervals.
yeah, obviously. Yeah.
Obviously. I use it for all sorts of things, honestly. Single-use projects, though. I think my most recent project was making a game called Hanabi, which I decided to try and make from scratch, which was good fun.
From scratch, on scratch.
No, I use a 3D design program called Fusion 360.
Right, yeah.
Because it's free. It's one of the best free programs out there anyway. So is the Ramble and the news episode different?
Yes.
So the news one is the one that gets played in the form time, and the Ramble is just a different one. Or
Well, it can also be played in the form time if they want to.
I'm going to get year 7s, 8s and 9s coming up and be like, "Sir, you're on the news!"
Sorry!
For absolute weeks now.
That was happened to Mr. Adams, yeah.
Is that what happened?
Yeah, but they asked him, because he was talking about his PhD, so everyone came up to him and asked him about his PhD, so that's what he likes. Alright, and are there any questions for me?
Yeah, I got one question for you. Yeah, I'm prepared. Didn't tell you
Alright,
about
just
this.
give me a maths question, I get it.
Yeah, don't worry, I've prepared an excellent year 13 Cambridge entrance exam for you.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, what
Yeah.
for maths?
Yeah.
How did you know I want to go to
What can I say?
degree in maths?
No, my question for you was, who is the teacher you would most want to have on your Ramble? If you could pick anyone, your dream guest, or in this case, your dream contestant in your arena, apparently. Didn't realize I signed up for that, but...
I just went with the flow. It's what came into my head, so I said it. We've been trying to get Mr. Headley on, the previous headmaster. We've been trying because someone lives in the same village as him, and so we thought just sending like a letter through the letterbox would be good, but we still need to work out the logistics of where we record it, how, what questions would I ask the previous headmaster? I don't know. That's one of the pipelines. I think Mr. Clack, the English teacher, because he did a degree in law in London, so that's already 2 very kind of like hot topics.
Fun branches of conversation to explore.
He's an interesting guy. He also plays D&D, so you could talk a little bit about that. So yeah, Mr. Clark, if you're listening to this, Bang, that's a challenge. You're going to come into the arena.
The gauntlet's in.
Bang, there you go. You've been summoned by Mr. O'Connell himself. So, thank you, Mr. O'Connell, for coming on to the show today. And thank you, everyone, for listening. As always, there's going to be a news episode first day of every term. So stay tuned for that. If you'd like to watch these in your own time, then go to King's Connect. Or now, breaking news, we have a Spotify account. Hey, where all the Ramble episodes get put on. Thank you everyone for listening, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.